Welcome to the Idea Land podcast, hosted by Ravi Komatireddy. Mylah Morales is a world-renowned makeup artist who has made a name for herself in the industry on the sets of music videos, concert tours, movie sets, red carpets, and more. Dubbed the Glaminator, Mylah has an unmistakable touch to her work that has made her a beauty go-to by the likes of Rihanna, Jennifer Lopez, Shakira, and countless others.
I am so glad I caught you. Where are you?
I'm good. I'm just at my local, bar. They allowed me to come in here and do this Zoom interview inside, which is great.
Let's just jump right in, actually. I just think I really want to delve into your story because it like when I zoom out and look at what you've done, it's almost like you're the poster child for like the American dream, right? You've made it.
Oh my God, thank you. Yeah, actually, you can say that.
At
yes,
some level, you've made it.
Definitely.
So
it's a success story, absolutely.
yeah, it's a success story, and I just want to hear the peaks and the valleys of that story.
So I decided, back in the day, to move to New York City because I was like, I need to find better photographers, better stylists to create a portfolio, because when we started out in the industry back then, there was no Instagram. It was just strictly portfolio. So you would have to find the best hair, makeup, wardrobe, photographers. So that's what I did. I was like, you know what? LA isn't for me because, I couldn't find great people here. So I was like, you know what? The fashion is in New York. So I moved to New York and met with some of the best photographers, wardrobe stylists, hair people. And my first job was actually working with Puff Daddy.
But how did you even get to this point? It just feels like there's such a high barrier of entry for people trying to enter this world. Like everyone wants to do it. How did you maneuver yourself correctly to even get those opportunities?
Well, when I first started in LA as assisting, makeup artists, I was already in the music industry because this is the field that I wanted to go into. Because, hair and makeup people, they choose their path. You can either do film, TV, you can do all these different things. I chose music because I grew up with MTV, I grew up with videos. And so I would study photographers and the different lighting and the directors with different lighting. And, I was really, I would study every aspect. It's like a science, you'd study every aspect of the business, not just from me being a makeup artist, but I would study everyone. And then I wanted to kind of build my brand in that direction. And that's exactly what I did. So I was doing a lot of music videos. Then I would meet directors. And then I would say, oh, you know what? I really love Diane Martell's work. She's an amazing video director. I really love Anthony Mandler's work as a photographer. And so I made sure that when I was getting jobs with these certain people, I was like, I want to continue to do these jobs. So then, being in music, you meet, when I moved to New York, it was like, we were all friends, as clubhouses, we would meet people at the clubs, literally. And then we'd meet people, through mutual friends. And, we picked up the phone and we're like, yo, let's meet at Lotus on Sunday. Then you'd meet publicists. Then you'd meet all kinds of different people through just sitting down like we are here on Zoom, but we'd meet people in the club. So the whole New York scene was this whole dope crew where I met, Mariel Hain, I met Ursula, I met, tons of really talented people through just being in the scene. And we all used to call each other on a phone. We'd call each other, we'd be like, you know what? Let's meet up here. Let's be friends. Let's do photo shoots together. It was a different way people worked in the industry as opposed to now,
So it seems like such a small crew, which seems weird because I mean, there's so many productions out there, right? But like, it was so intimate that everyone knew each other. That's
so
pretty.
intimate, yeah.
And you still keep in touch with all those people that you met back then?
We're all good friends. I mean, like, we keep in touch with each other. We look after one another, like, oh, hey, how are you? Let's stay in touch. Obviously we go our own separate ways, but like, we literally have, like, when you have your crew, you kind of keep that, small group, because, through the years, we rise and we grow our client base, and then we eventually like do our own thing, but we still miss those days of like really just being like super creative, like there was never one without the other, even the artist, there was the photographer, there was the stylist, there was the hair, there was the makeup. It was like a science. It literally was a science, how we came up in the industry. And we built this phenomenal like pop world of pop music, through fashion, makeup, hair, styling, albums. Remember albums? People don't have that anymore. Like it's sad, but it's so true.
So this like thing that we're all used to now, like when we look at like a pop star or something now, like you get the whole package, right? You get the visual, you get the music, you get the distribution. Mm-hmm. What you're saying is like that, mm-hmm. that was new back then. Like that whole idea of combining, their presence, their brand was something that you guys were helping.
It wasn't. Well, the label would hire us because they knew that we knew how to like take from first album to second album to third album. We knew exactly what we were going to do. It was a science. It was like first album, relatable. Second album, that's the, goes on. And we lived through the music. So we had TRL. Remember TRL?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I do. That's right.
Like we had TRL. So we would go to TRL every week to, kind of bring in the new music and the new image and whatever the, like, let's hypothetically speaking, like it was like Umbrella. We were like, okay, this is the new single. This is the visual. This is how we're going to go about it going forward. Like it was like a whole team that was there that worked together it was a team. Like there was no buy-in team, we were all, and we came from a place where like we would talk to each other. We're like, okay, so what do you think about this hair? What do you think about this makeup? What do you think about this wardrobe? Guys, team. It would be like team. So that's why we've created like brands through just music and pop stars.
Can you walk me through the process of like something like a brand? I mean, I'm sure you're proud of all the brands that you helped create, but like, can you walk me through that process?
It's a business. It's a business at the end of the day. So when a new pop star is being, presented to the table, they're like, okay, so we have hair, makeup, and stylist. Then the first single is, or the album packaging. It goes album packaging. Then it's like the first video for the first single. Then everyone gets together and creates this whole like, hi. They create, like, okay, so name a single.
I'm thinking like back then.
Name a record.
Like
name
TLC, like name TLC's first album, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is that there's executives at the label, there's A&Rs at the label. So they're like, okay, we want this team, right? So they're going to, hypothetically speaking, they're like, okay, we want Mylah Morales for makeup. We want Ursula Stephen for hair. We want so-and-so for wardrobe. So we get, the whole team comes together and we create the vision going forward. You know, we're like, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. This is the vision. And what's dope about, like, you know, where we come from is that we really collaborate. It's like being in surgery, right? You have your team there with you. You have your nurses, you have your, you know, doctors, their assistants, everyone is there. Everyone's there to lend, you know, their input and their vision. You know, I mean, obviously it's two different things. It's you know, we're talking apples and oranges, but it's the same science where we all come together as a team to create this vision so that you can watch it on the screen.
Right.
It's branding, marketing.
Yeah. And how do you come up with the actual process of the makeup? When I use the word makeup, and I feel like I'm not giving it enough justice, right? Because it's like this whole look. Like, how long did it take you to learn that? Like the art of that, right?
The art of makeup really, you know, I learned through experience, and it's like working with different photographers, different, you know, different directors, and, you know, the like, let me give you a for instance. Like, remember when you were asking me for that aha moment? Do you remember that? Or
yeah.
Did you ask me for that aha moment?
Yeah.
So when I first went into a meeting with Luc Besson, he did The Fifth Element, and then he did Valerian, right?
Right.
So it was like one of those aha moments where I was like, oh my God, I'm actually meeting with Luc Besson in his office.
What was that like? Is that guy just crazy? Like crazy genius?
No, he's crazy. It was amazing because he was like, you know, there's this character, she's called Bubble. And I have 13 looks for her. And she's going to come and she's going to be this, you know, and I was like, wow, we're literally sitting here with Luc Besson. And he created like all the different looks for Bubble that I would have to recreate for the actual movie. So I was like, wow, this is like my aha moment. I'm in a meeting with Luc Besson, and he's like, this is Bubble, and these are the looks you're going to be. And I think I ran out there crying, like, I can't believe I just fucking did that. And then like the movie came out. I mean, it was like 18 days in Paris, and being a mom had to leave Miles. 18 days in Paris, creating this movie, and then finally seeing it on the big screen. You're like, wow, this is like, fuck. Like, I actually did a movie with Luc Besson, you know, and created all these amazing looks with the team. And it's just like one of those moments as a makeup artist, like, where you're like, fuck, like, yo, I've done some good shit in my life, you know? And then looking back at a lot of the books, seeing the books that, you know, that I've, like her book, like one of my clients, I'm like, wow, I've actually done some shit in my life, you know? And looking back at all the red carpets and the videos and the moments that I've been a part of pop culture, like a huge part of pop culture. Where
Is
little
it
girls
weird?
are like,
yeah, copying your style.
When little girls are like, you know, that I had this actress who hired me once, and she was talking really fast, and I was like, why is she talking so fast? And I didn't realize that she's been a fan of mine for like her whole entire like childhood, right? She's like, oh my god, I just have to be honest with you. And I'm like, what's going on right now? She's like, I'm like, what's happening? She's like, I just want to tell you that, you know, like I would like, go into InStyle and read all your, articles, and I would read all your, and I would like save my money and like go to, buy that Giorgio Armani foundation that I talked about for all those years, So those are moments that like later in life that I can fucking really appreciate, because I'm like, wow, I really, the reason why I came into this industry was because I wanted to inspire young girls to be a better version of themselves.
And how do you see makeup and, this artistic craft doing that? Like, what role do you think that plays? And where do you think that, what's like the healthy part of that? And where does that start getting like, they're going overboard? Or is there an unhealthy side of that too?
Yeah, I mean, like right now, like what's happening with the industry is that, they're plastering their face with makeup. And I kind of took, when I started in the industry, what I wanted to take from this was I wanted to create and, be the face, not myself, but for my artists. I wanted young girls to look at themselves and just be the better version of themselves through fashion, through makeup, and, allowing them to like have fun with makeup. It's all about having fun with it. And really just, it's a creative process for you. So when you wear that blue eyeliner, like I remember like when I did Kids Choice Awards, when I like did this like teal blue eyeliner, because it was just an accident. Sometimes we only have 5 minutes to do a makeup. We only have like 30 minutes to do a makeup. And that's not how much time it takes. It takes a lot more time. Like where, my God, I've been on the 7/7 tour, and we would land in a city. It was 7 cities, 7 cities, 7 shows in different parts of the world. And we would literally land. And sometimes we were late because obviously the plane, for whatever reason, like we would have to get there, and we only had 5 seconds to actually do the entire look. So I would have to think fast. Like, imagine like, okay, an early morning show, something goes wrong with a wardrobe, or like, and it's live TV. It's like in surgery. You're in surgery, you have like 5 seconds to think of something really fast. Or like one year during the Met Gala, I had to redo a makeup because it was the wrong makeup for the wrong outfit, because the other person wanted to wear that outfit. So my client couldn't really these are things that like, these are all so thought out processes that people don't realize. These are all thought out in 2.2 seconds. You have 5 seconds to think of this process. And if you can't think fast, your work is going to be in front of 12 million people. Imagine.
So
that's a lot of pressure.
I was just going to say, how do you handle, so rising up through all these different projects and people, I'm just imagining like creative differences. How much does that happen?
A lot of creative differences.
How do you handle that? So like, can you talk us through like some of those that have happened where like the person or the actor or the actress or the subject just is like, hey, I'm not feeling this. Like, why are we doing it this way? And what do you do in that situation?
Well, you have to be in control, and you have to say, look, like, let's say they want to do a certain look with, like I said, like early morning TV. If they want to do a look, you're like, this is early morning TV. We can't do this right now. I mean, I've literally, I remember first 2 albums of one of my clients, I would get cursed out for like, they wanted her to look super clean, super this, super that. And, there were times when we didn't want to do that. So I would like hair, makeup, and styling, we would do something a little bit different, and I would get cursed out by the label.
Really?
Really.
So
like the boss
yeah.
would say, what the fuck? Like, I remember one manager was like, Mylah, just listen and take the call. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. It's like employee, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not the boss. So I would sit there and listen to somebody curse me out for like a fucking hour. And I'd be like, okay, no problem. Let's make it. It's just like any job you have. And, you know, like as an employee, what are you going to do if the boss is going to curse you out? What are you going to do? As an Asian, imagine as an Asian, we are raised from a different loincloth. You know, we are raised from a different cloth where we're like, okay, no problem. We'll get the job done. And that's it. Done. Correct?
Are you, I think to some extent, I'm always been the rebellious one. I think probably I see that streak in you too. But
oh God, I'm the worst.
You're the worst.
Most rebellious one. Yeah.
So do you think that's evolved over the years? How long did it take you to feel confident having your own voice and saying, being able to put your foot down and say, no, this is how it needs to look. Trust me. You've hired me. This is like why you're hiring me. You know, that kind of artist voice, right? That confidence.
I mean, the work speaks for itself. So, I mean, like when I come into shoots now, I'm like, okay, well, this is what is going to happen and blah, 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 blah. Because right now in the world of hair, makeup, and wardrobe, there's a huge disconnect because nobody ever talks anymore. Nobody talks. Nobody talks. Everyone's on text messages. We don't have like, you know, meetings anymore where we can sit down prior to the shoot like we used to. And I don't want to say used to because it should still be like that. It should be like, we are going to go into this shoot and we should collaborate as a team to have this vision going forward because these are the images that are going to last for the rest of their lives.
Right.
And also for their brands. And I just want that, I want that shit to come back. And I'm glad we're having this, you know, discussion because we really need to have those, you know, things come back in the world.
You know, it's this weird thing with, I don't want to say just Hollywood, but I just want to say, you know, artists in general and creatives. It's like there's so much behind the scenes stuff that people just don't see or realize is necessary to make that end product. So do you feel like your field in general or you personally, like as you mentioned, the person who hired you was totally fangirling out on you, right? She was like, oh my God, I've been watching you. Is that happening more and more?
Well, yeah, because I just started putting my work on Instagram because I didn't know that people are just lazy and they don't want to look for your, you know, I'm Mylah Morales. Like, I didn't know that they didn't know who I was as a, you know, a very influential pop culture beauty person. People don't know this because people in the industry know, but
right.
Not the world knows, you know? So that's why I've been posting a lot of my work on IG because I feel like they have a short attention span.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm like, this is my experiment right now. This is my experiment. I'm experimenting with my IG, literally. I'm like, well, let me post some of my work. Let's see what they say. And with my followers, I'm like, do you really follow me? Or do you really know who I am? Or like, I go into shoots and they're like, well, who have you worked with? And I'm like, really? You know, when I go into a job, I know exactly who I'm working with. This doesn't happen in this day and age.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how different the world has changed in 5 years, in 6 years. in 7 years, the world was changed in my eyes, because I'm actually the industry professional who was the influencer of a lot of these influencers.
Yeah. So what, I know that you've worked with Rihanna a lot and others too, but I'm singling that out for a reason, because it's like that look is something, I'm trying to figure out, like, what is the Mylah Morales look? Like, what separates you from the rest of your peers in that group that you talked about, right? Like, what do you do just so particularly uniquely that's like, that's Mylah's work?
I mean, everyone knows when I'm working with somebody new. So it's like, they're like, oh, my friend who's a hairstylist, when I first worked with Nicki Minaj, she was like, we were at some event, and I thank Diane Martell for actually, bringing Nicki and I together. She was like, can you have Mylah redo your look so that, because Diane, I was always a fan of Diane Martell's work, always. Like, that's what makes it so cool, is that when Diane Martell was like, okay, I want you to revamp Nicki for Pills and Potions. It was 4:00 in the morning. I was waiting because, her makeup artist prior to that was there. And Diane was like, can you let Mylah, recreate your look? And she allowed me to do that. And it was like, wow. It's like, when it happened, I knew that Nicki and I were going to basically spend the next year together recreating, her stuff. And at the end of the day, people do hire me for a reason, because they're like, you know what, let's get that. I'm always all about skin. So skin is everything. And, she can be skin, she can be edgy, she can be all these things, and fashion all in one person. So, having that, I always branded myself since the beginning of my career. So now that I know that I can, it's all about branding, marketing, creating just the most amazing images is something that I'm very grateful for, because I'm just not here to slap some makeup on your face. I'm literally helping you brand your product, which is the artist, so it's kind of
it's amazing.
It's amazing.
I looked at your Instagram, and it's just like, everyone looks gorgeous. And can you just take anybody and go, yeah, I have a direction for how you can look better, and we can have fun with this, right?
I do. And I take the person or the artist or the actress or whoever it is, and I kind of know how to creatively direct that going forward. So it's kind of like I know who to, and as of recent, I just started to do photo shoots, just because I wanted to start getting my creative juices flowing. So I started doing shoots with a lot of my friends, clients that I've had over the years, and I've revamp their image. And that's what I've been doing as of the past 6 months, because, in the middle of the pandemic, we're like, what the fuck are we going to do?
Well, do you just... Yeah, it's crazy. It must be hitting you guys, obviously, really hard.
No, it's crazy. It's hitting us hard. And, it's taxing, because, I want to be the best version of myself, and being that is being able to go out into the workforce, and there's no escapism in this little realm that we're in right now. In the past fucking year, there's no escapism as a creative, as a businesswoman, I've like literally like, it's been really tough. And, you know, mental health, we need to really talk about that. And, you know, apart from where we creatively, like as human beings, like I can't even talk about like career anymore. Like, it's like, yeah, this has been such an amazing journey, but now we really have to hone in on mental health. And this is really important for us as people and as human beings. We really need to hone in on that.
Yeah. This has been a really big talk of the town in digital health. You know, it's the kind of circles I live in. It's how to bring mental health to people and how to do it without having to come to the clinic. Because, yeah, we're at peak anxiety, right? We're like at peak obesity and peak anxiety right now. It's like the way we work.
What does that mean?
People are getting worse, right? Like there's never been as many people that are suffering from diseases that are mostly preventable. And I'm not so sure all mental health is preventable, but I'm really sure that it's treatable. It's detectable and treatable.
No. I think mental health is like, it's all psychosomatic. So I think right now we need to like educate people on how to take care of themselves internally, whether it's black seed oil or, you know, and this is why I have fucking fights with motherfuckers on, you know, Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you know, they'll sit here and talk about like all this, like, you know, internal medicine, and they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, it pisses me the fuck off, because I'm like, you don't even know how to address these issues through just our diets, just our, like, you know, what we're putting into our bodies through, you know, like the vaccine. I mean, there's just so many like issues that we need to really discuss as a people. And I feel like we don't talk about it intellectually enough, and that really pisses me the fuck off.
Yeah,
There's all these people on Clubhouse that are like moderators, and then they're talking about nonsense, and they're not even giving like factual information. It's like, it really pisses me off, and I like go off on these motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's frustrating. You know, it's like us, the medical system, which, you know, I'm part of, we don't do a great job. We're starting to change now, and I'm hoping to lead some of that change. But we don't do a great job of keeping people well, right? We get paid mostly to deal with sick people. You've heard people talk about sick care versus health care. But I really want to get your opinions. I want to deep dive into that, but I want to go in that route by figuring out how you got there. And that means, like, I think I can probably imagine going on these trips with A-list stars and clients, and this whole team of creatives is probably insanely fun, right? There are probably some incredibly awesome, fun behind the scenes stuff going on. It's great energy when people are performing in there, and you know that you're working with that team. What are some of the upsides there, and how fun is that? But like, what are some of the downsides? And I would say included in that are like, how did you handle the pressure? Because it seems like you said, like when millions of people are looking at your work and you have 5 seconds to figure it out, does that just get to you after a while? Like, how did you sustain that level of quality?
Honestly, there was no sustaining, and I literally could not do it anymore. I was like,
really?
You know what? Yeah, of course, absolutely. Because, you know, when you have that much pressure to deal with like 2 seconds of anything, it was an unhealthy lifestyle. I was eating crap on the road. I was not working out. And I'm very spiritual and very like, you know, I work out a lot. And it was really difficult for me to sustain a healthy lifestyle and to also be a mother, you know? So when were you going to go to the gym when you're like jet lagged? Where were you going to eat at the airport? How are you going to eat healthy? How are you going to, did you even remember to eat breakfast?
Right.
You're in a gazillion different time zones. You're on private jets with, you know, you're eating fried chicken. because you're hungry. You need sustenance. And it was really difficult. It's like the hardest, thing to, and as you know, being like a doctor or having a really busy schedule, you can't do any of those things properly and be healthy at the same time. You compromise, you sacrifice your health, your self-worth, you compromise so many different things. It's like, like I said, like I've been learning about self-care since I was 14. And I didn't know that I was going to get into this industry where I would not experience self-care. And I had to take a break for 3 years and just really hone in on taking care of myself. Through training, I was boxing every day. Then, during the pandemic, I decided that I was just going to like juice, eat better. And I would like, as I did with my career, I decided that, taking care of myself is more important, and so I like literally was like training 6 to 7 days a week, boxing, and then eating better and taking care of myself. So that's what I've been doing over the past 3 years.
What was the breaking point? Was there like a point where you're just like, this is it, I got to take a break? Like, did something happen, or it was just like the cumulative load of years of living that life?
Well, a client of mine decided that she was going to drop me off at the door and say, oh, well, sorry, I can't move forward with you with this thing. And so I was literally dropped off at the front door, and you fend for yourself.
Mm-hmm. How'd that make you feel?
Dove into a deep depression for like an entire year. And then I discovered, I was like, oh shit, I love boxing. Started boxing every day, and that was like my it was my like escapism. I started boxing, I started like taking care of myself, and I was like, oh, it's time for Mylah to take care of Mylah. And that was 3 years ago, and here we are to this day. I mean, like, as a fucking Clubhouse, I've been like out of the loop.
I don't know how good Clubhouse is, dude. I'll tell you. I mean,
it's not good. No,
there's so many
good.
There's so many good parts to it. Obviously, like the signal to noise ratio right now is high. Like there's a lot of interesting people like you and other people I've met on there from all these different creative fields. But at the same time, like you get goaded into the typical social network traps, the FOMO, the addiction, the validation and stuff. And I think a lot of people just aren't used to it. And they definitely don't have the experience that you have through that validation trap that you must have been able to navigate well over the years, right?
Right. I don't need a validation trap. I don't need that. I don't need that, Ravi.
Yeah, it's bad. It's not healthy, right? But it's like
crazy.
This is the thing that's so interesting, and I've talked to other people who've been in like more creative fields. Like my friend who's been on the podcast before, Dooney. He's a voice actor. I'll ask you the same question I asked him, which was, how do you deal with rejection? Because I feel like doctors and engineers and lawyers, we have some rejection in our lives, but I think we are not as well equipped to deal with it as people in creative fields like yours, because we just don't come across it that much. How do you pick yourself up off the floor and go, okay, it's okay?
You just pick yourself motherfucking up, like literally. Like I've had to do it. Like where Winston, my housekeeper, he would come to my house, clean my house. I would get out of the bed, roll out of the bed, and get back in the bed. I've dealt with like, a lot of, literally, it was really hard. Like, and I feel like, people don't know how depressed I was when this all went down. You know what I mean? Like, it was really a hard pill to swallow. Like, of
course,
I was really depressed, and I had to hide out for 2 years and just put a smile on my face, when I was out in public or whatever. But I was And then I'm raising a 17-year-old, and that shit was fucking hard as fuck. Like, you know, not even you can't even talk to your family, your friends. I'm telling you, it was like really, really hard. And I just kept to myself for like, I've actually kept to myself for the past 10 years. I've had like very few friends around me. You know, being at the top of the game is like, it's a very lonely place to be, you know? So I just want to make sure that everyone knows that they're not alone in this journey, you know? Especially right now. Like,
Well, that raises the question of, what do you see and what do you tell people who are so excited, who are younger than you, who want to break in to this entire industry? And do you just look at them and go, my gosh, I know exactly what you're going to go through, and here's the traps to avoid? I mean, would you even recommend like your kids to go through this or to be in this field right now?
it's a different era for the kids though. It's a different era. Like it's all about social media. What I've observed is that, a lot of these kids, they're like looking into likes and looking into this and looking into that. They're not really honing in on the prize, and it's a really sad place to be for the kids, I feel.
And what do you tell
think?
them? Yeah, I mean, I don't think the human brain.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell them because I don't know how to operate from their mindset. I don't know how they're operating.
Yeah. And I think the human brain is struggling to try to adapt to this situation where you have this dopamine hits from likes, right? I think this has been well documented.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's definitely part of it.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
because, like growing up, we evolved probably in these small tribes and communities, right? And that's where we live and we have our place and we know everybody. And even it's like everyone assumes a persona in that tribe. You're the smart one, you're the dumb one, you're the clumsy one. It's like your circle of friends, everyone's got a personality and you're like, oh, that's Ravi, he's always going to do this, and haha, we'll take a laugh at him. And it's all in good fun, but you know where everyone's position is and what you expect them to do, they'll probably do. That predictability affords some level, I think, of comfort and safety. But, when you have Facebook friends, and we use the word friends, but really they're not all your friends. And there's like 4,000 of them. I'm not so sure we know very well how to deal with those acquaintances versus friends versus, how we those people we don't interact with, who leave comments on our thing and say happy birthday. Like, I don't know. Do the 10,000 people on LinkedIn who say happy birthday, is that like an AI message that they just clicked on to be nice? Or do they actually mean happy birthday, right? Like I'm suspect.
No, they don't mean it. No, they don't mean it.
Right. So you're suspect of those kind of things. And never before in history have we just had access to 10,000 people like that. That's been like a new thing, right? Except for the people, you've probably seen it in your industry because you probably see the meltdowns from the stars, right? The celebrity of it and what that does to people.
I think that a lot of these people, they don't even pay attention to that.
Really? What do you mean?
I mean, they're in their own little bubbles. So those situations aren't really that, you're going to gain your like 1 million followers or whatever, but they're already at the tens and millions of followers. So they're not looking at it like that, like the average person. Or I could be wrong. Maybe in their brains they are.
Do you think it's possible to go through that celebrity and come out healthy? I mean, is there such a thing as a normal path for people in your field?
If you know how to maneuver around it, yes, absolutely. Because I've learned how to maneuver around it. And for me, it's not about like the gazillion followers. I don't care. I'm not about that. It's about the personal relationships that you build with people along the way. like you and I are building a relationship, right? As friends. So I would like to like talk to you on a day to day and say, hey, Ravi, how are you doing today? How's your day going? I don't care about, because I feel like people now, they just want followers upon followers upon followers.
Yeah.
This isn't about that. And for me, it's about human connection. And I don't think that people know what that even means anymore.
You were talking about photo shoots. Have you thought about bringing back you leading those teams again? Bringing back that team
I've been
collaboration?
doing it.
Yeah? Tell me about it.
Yeah. I decided that like, I was like, you know what? I actually love to shoot with people. So I've been like, bringing back like teams of people together just to create again. Like we've been doing this for the past, few months, and I've built a tribe that I've been working with. Do I know that they're on that same level as I? But they're like, oh yeah, she's a legend. I didn't even know this, by the way.
How does it make you feel just being part of that creative energy again?
It makes me love the creative energy, and that's why I was like, I just really want to be part of the creative energy again, because it makes me really happy being there.
That's cool. I think everyone's craving for that right now anyway. At baseline, people are craving for that, but especially during COVID, like how do people get involved with that? Like how do people get a hold of you, get involved with being part of that, the momentum you're building there?
They just, at this point, what I've noticed is everyone's DMing everyone, and like just DM me, and if you want to get involved in that creative process, then just, hit me up on Instagram, and we will continue to be part of the creative process.
Mylah, what do you want to make sure people know about you that they either get wrong or that they don't know? Because because of the way you work, sometimes behind the scenes, behind the camera lens, what do you want to make sure people know about you or get right about you?
I want people to get right about me through my work and my creative vision. I want to make sure that they know that I have integrity. I will continue to have integrity in everything that I accomplish in my lifetime. When you are with me as a human being, we are here as one, and you're always going to have a sense of like self when you're around me, meaning this is not about likes. This is not about, we're going to be creative together. And I really want to make sure that like everyone around me is in a good like mind space, head space, creative space. We're building a future together. And we're just going to be in a, create images to last for the next 50 years.
And
because when you look back at images, you're like, shit, this is timeless.
what are those images back then that you still idolize? Like who are I'm talking 70s, 60s, 50s. Like, do you ever look back and go, yes, like those are the images?
For sure.
Yeah. Who are those?
Bianca Jagger, like, the 90s supermodels.
Why the 90s supermodels?
Because they were just forced to reckon with. They were like the most amazing, iconic human beings on the planet. Like Iman, Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista. And then it was like the girls that were like, Bianca Jagger. Like she was the girlfriend of like Mick Jagger, or the wife. And like those images, like she would ride in on like a white horse to a club, like with her fucking fashion and her outfits. And then Grace Jones. When I first worked with Grace Jones, I fucking cried because I was like,
what was
you're
that
a
like?
fucking icon.
Yeah.
I cried. I literally cried in the room because I was like, this is an iconic moment right now. And I've worked with the most iconic people, but like this moment right now, and I started crying.
No way.
Do you know who Grace Jones is?
Of course. Mad Max. Wasn't she? I was just my wife's celebrity crush, right? She's got this list, and on that list, for some reason, is obviously not me on that list, even though I'm tall, dark, and handsome. Instead, it's like the exact
Are you
opposite.
tall, Ravi?
I'm 6'1". I'm 6'1". I'm tall for an
Okay,
Indian. I'm tall for an Indian person. But Dolph Lundgren, she loves Dolph Lundgren, right? She loves like Rocky IV.
That's hilarious.
Right. So she's got Idris Elba up there, and Dolph Lundgren's on there. He's like, oh, he's so cute. She's from Western Ireland. So there's something about like that Scandinavian thing just like turns
that.
on genes in her where she's just genetically programmed to think that's like and he's, you know, good looking dude or whatever. But he used to date Grace Jones. He was like going to go to MIT and he dropped out or something because he was like Grace Jones's bodyguard. Wasn't she in Mad Max?
Dolph, I don't remember, but like Grace Jones was like the moment when I did Dust Magazine, I was like, holy shit, you're like so amazing. You're like a fucking legendary icon that people don't even know who you are.
Iman, that woman's absolutely gorgeous.
Okay, Iman is another one. Like when I met her, she was like, darling, just send me a list of products. And I was like, okay. And then like, I remember I was thinking about her and I was like, oh shit, I haven't sent Iman my list of products because we shot the cover of Elle together, or Allure, whatever that magazine was. And I texted her. She texted me. She's like, darling, where's these list of products? And I was like, holy shit, Iman just texted me.
So you still get that? Do you still get that kind of like
absolutely
starstruck?
With like, absolutely. I don't get starstruck. I get more like giddy to the point where I'm like, wow, these are like fucking icons in the industry. And I'm so privy to be, you know, there with them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I got to touch your face. Wow. This is like...
But see, I think you just see faces different. You know, like I was talking to my friend Akko, he's an artist, and I can't draw. But you know when people say that they can't draw, it's usually just because they've never really tried or been trained to, right? It's something you learn. Like you get better at it. You have to try it. You have to work at it, which I just haven't put in the work. And Akko is saying, he's like, you know, when I look at something, it's like I'm seeing like shadows and light. Like he's seeing stuff I'm not seeing, right? To me, I don't know. It's like a wall. It's like a family room for him. He's like, you see the walls are the same paint, but because it's sunny on one side or the other, like it looks different. And that's why when I paint, it looks real or it looks artistic. It's like when you're not seeing those differences. When you see a face, like when you see someone's skin, you see skin in a way probably that nobody's like, I don't see those things. When you see someone's face, like what do you see? Like what are the things you're looking at? Like contours and shadows and textures.
Dimensions. I'm like, okay, I look at dimensions in the face. And I've been studying like art since I was a little kid. Like I would like, my mom brought back, she went to Europe and she brought back like, you know, books on the Sistine Chapel. And like, so I studied Michelangelo, and like, I just studied like art since I was a kid, like even Japanese art. So like, my whole shit comes from a different like mindset. Like I look at things as art in depth, you know? So doing a face for me is like, okay, well, it's not a flat surface. It's a multi-dimensional surface. There's like things that are, and you know, to get into that, like I've always studied like Japanese culture. So I've studied like, you know, the Sistine Chapel. I've studied art, Like, and then it goes on to that, to like, you know, studying directors and photographers, their vision. Like, people now don't understand what this is anymore. They don't understand like fine art, architectural structures. You know, there's like structures. It's crazy. Like I've been studying shit since I was a little kid, and that's what brought me to this, you know, level of success. Because like I feel like, you know, people don't understand like the depth of culture the way I have studied it. And that's what pisses me the fuck off with these like people right now. Like everyone's like all about their likes and all about their this and all about their that. I never even thought about that. I didn't care about likes. I didn't care about any of these things until like 3 years ago. And I'm like, you're stupid. You're dumb. Like, you're annoying.
I'm laughing only because,
truth be told.
yeah, it's funny. I see it on Clubhouse. I see it in the bio pictures. There's like whole rooms where people are talking about how to do better networking on Clubhouse, and they're talking about how to make their bio pictures look better, and they're getting all this advice. And I'm like, how important is this really? But is it that crazy to you though? I mean, because you're coming from a place where that is important, right? So how do you blame them for trying to achieve at some level a look like you are at a smaller scale?
No, it makes me very sad, because I'm like, you know, there's a bigger picture, and like the problem with the kids and this generation, I'm not gonna say the kids, but like the problem with this generation is that they're not studying greatness anymore. They're studying this dumb shit that means nothing to the world, essentially. Because what is this going to do for you? Is this going to bring you money? Is it?
It is. It is for some. It is for some, right? I mean, it's like the quote unquote.
I don't know. You tell me.
The influencer generation, right? I mean, it's the people getting all the, like, brands are following people on Instagram, right? I mean, they want to see. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about that? Because you've transitioned from this. You started in this analog age, right? So did I with photography. Like, I remember rolling film, like being in the darkroom for 10 hours at a time, and you didn't have any freaking preview on the camera, right? Like, you had 24 shots and you had to make them count, and you know, you had to be there. It took patience to take photographs. It's like there's kind of two schools of thought in photography, right? You take 1,000 photos and you get the one that works. That's what you can do now because you have a digital camera. But back in the day, that was like every single piece of film you had to go develop. Like, that was hard to do that. So it was like I feel like a lot more thought used to go into those photographs I used to take with film cameras. But you've bridged that. Like, you bridged this, like, we're in the Photoshop era now, right? Like, what was that like, just going from this analog to this point where, no, don't worry about it, Mylah, like in post, we can just get it in the computer and fix it or whatever.
I don't understand that. I don't, because I'm always going to be the person that's like the perfectionist. So I'm so confused with this era of bullshit. It's bullshit.
The Photoshop
bullshit.
thing.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
You'd rather just get it in camera, like live in the moment.
I actually worked with a photographer recently, and he was like, I'm shooting film. And I was like, huh?
That's cool. Was it fun?
I was so confused. No, I absolutely loved it. But I was like, what do you mean you're shooting film?
Yeah.
I was so confused.
So how much do you like involve yourself? Because it's got to be part of your workflow now. Like, you must have to be in those rooms with like Photoshop running, right? And people and giving input, or is that something you just avoid like the plague?
I avoid like the plague, because I'm like, I know I did a great job, and I don't have to like. It's so weird these days. Like, it's such a different generation of people within even only 5 years. 5 years is a long time to like realize, holy shit, this is like, fuck, it's a whole different thing.
I gotta ask you this because I'm Asian, so it's like, Are there just markets or like people or events that you wanted to do that you haven't had a chance to do yet? Like I come from the world of crazy Indian weddings, makeup and jewelry, right? Like not me personally,
Yeah.
but my culture values that clearly. You watch like that Netflix show, which like my wife is addicted to about Indian weddings, or you watch any one of those crazy.
I love it. I love all those shows.
Oh no, no! Are you serious?
I love them. Like I love Crazy Rich Asians. I love all those things because it really is. I grew up in the Philippines. I went to boarding school in the Philippines, and like, you know, I know my culture, and that's why, like, you know, I understand what it is to create fantasy. So Crazy Rich Asians was like a real thing. That's not funny. It's not. It's real.
It's real.
And Indian culture, yeah, of course. I'm like I'm Asian, so like I know that the shit is not. It's not fake. It's real. All of it is real, and you know, and it's the normal culture. It's the normal people. We're not talking about big fantasy pop stars. They're looking at the big fantasy pop stars as like what I've created. I've helped create pop culture. This shit is funny as fuck. It's really funny. And I love it, actually. I love it. It makes me happy.
Do you see a surge of... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I literally, I'm a foreign film buff. And Indian foreign films are one of my favorites.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
You're kidding. I can't stand
No, I'm not kidding.
Well, modern Indian films
them.
I can't stand. Why?
I love them so much. I don't know. I just think that they're amazing. They're like fun and funny and like the dance sequences, they're like fun. And you know what I love about it? I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Let me tell you why. Because I love our cultures. I love that we base our lives around food, dance, and enjoying our lives, even through great, you know, circumstances.
I think they own it, don't they? Like Indian people kind of own it. Mm-hmm. They're like just, it's so on the nose. It's like over the top, but it's like they just own it. And they're not embarrassed about being over the top. Yeah, it is interesting. And like you're saying, it does strike a tone. I think the ridiculousness of it like overwhelms me. So I'm like, what? Why is there a dude flying over 10 exploding cars or something, you know? But like...
How old are you?
I'm 41.
Oh, well then you should love it.
Yeah, see, I can't. There's like that YouTube channel Corridor Crew, and they make fun of the VFX in the movies. I think that's funny. But I just can't. I was asked to be in a Bollywood music video once.
Really?
Uh-huh. It was in Goa like years ago, and they were like taking people out of the crowd. So I'm like the tallest dude there, right? And you know, I was young. I was a young strapping lad, and
ew, gross, nasty. I can't believe you said that.
No, I mean, I was a good looking guy, and I was in med school at the time, and it was like a summer or something. New Year's. It was New Year's in Goa, and I was there, and they asked me, and I said like no, but I should have said yes. Looking at it,
should have done it. Yeah, exactly.
I was like, and everyone's like no, and then the woman who was being filmed got really kind of annoyed because I'd said no, because apparently no one says no, and
no one says no.
Yeah, no one says no. And I was like, no, it's gonna be forever. Like right now, instead of talking about it, if I had said yes, I'd be showing it to you right now. Isn't that weird?
I know, that would be amazing. I wish you did.
We can still do it.
You did.
We can still do it.
No, we're gonna go to, you know what, after this pandemic, I think that the reason why we're all meeting each other is because we're gonna like go back to our home countries and do some like really great shit. I really feel like.
What, and that brings me to like, yeah, what is exciting you right now? Like, what do you want to do? I mean, you mentioned some of the things about like kind of getting the old gang back together, or at least that way of working, like intimately. What else is really exciting you right now?
Nothing. I'm bored, and I'm going to tell you what's going to excite me in the next few weeks. I'll tell you. I don't have, once it's all said and done, you'll know.
You're working on something?
Lots of things.
How's the masterclass stuff? Is that
We
part of
can't
the
do
vision?
masterclass right now. Yeah. I mean, I would love to do the masterclass. Yeah, that's part of the vision. But like, there's so much going on that I would love to share with you, but I can't really share it right now because obviously, for obvious reasons. But this has been a great interview.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. No, this is fun. I just love hearing about these worlds that, you know, I probably will never, I'll never get the chance to live that life, right? But it's cool just to get a glimpse, to get a snapshot of what it takes to achieve what you've achieved. What do you like? This is a hard question, right? But because I know that you're proud of lots of stuff, but what are you most proud of? Like, what's the work that when you look back, you're like, that was the most meaningful thing?
There's so many, like, you know, at the end of the day, I've created some of the most iconic moments with pop stars. And I feel like that in itself is one of the greatest moments. There's not one, there's 10,000, you know, so, and being able to like be in a world with people I actually love to work with, create greatness, you know? I mean, how can you not like say thank you to any of that? Correct?
I think it's amazing. I think it's great. I mean, it's opened my eyes to this whole behind the scenes thing of what it takes to create. You know, for me, I see, you know, TLC, right?
What do you
or Rihanna.
see?
I see these people.
on.
I just think it's impossible. I like see I see what every like every guy sees, right? I see like women. It just seems insanely complicated. Like taking out a gallbladder looks like it's so much easier than creating a look with makeup on people. I mean, it's just like there's a billion products. There's all these different techniques. It's like, what are you guys
Can I
doing?
ask you a question?
Yeah, shoot.
What kind of doctor are you?
I'm internal medicine, but I left practice, right? So I left practice to go do digital health and startups. I'm trying to use technology to make medicine, and not just medicine, but health better for people in different ways. So, you know, a lot of my, you know, colleagues are doing, you know, really doing well and doing really important work in the daily fight with disease. But I just think the future lies somewhere else. I think the future lies with keeping people well. Like, we have epidemics of diseases that are just preventable. Most of them, not all of them, are preventable, right? And I think
you and I need to partner up.
Yeah, you discovered that in yourself, right? You were talking about this kind of rich, crazy,
Yes.
You know, life, right? Like on the road, on the plane, you know, just trying to eat whatever you can get your hands on so you don't pass out under intense pressure. And it's like, it's not sustainable. That's what you said, right? It wasn't sustainable.
It's not sustainable. No.
So it's going to happen.
And I love this conversation. I think you and I are going to like do some great shit together. I honestly do.
Well, you're going to promise to keep me in the loop here on what you're working on. I'll let you know what we're working on. But how can people? So you mentioned Instagram. So DMs. Where can they follow? They can follow your work on Instagram. Is there any other place that you're hosting things, or they can find out about events or articles that you've written or doing anything? I want to make sure people can get exposure to what you're up to.
I mean, like, obviously, like for now, it's via Instagram, but like, it's definitely like, you know, we've been in the middle of a waiting game for a lot of things. And I want to make sure that moving forward, Ravi, that, you know, I really want to like, I come from a family of doctors, you know, do you know that?
Yeah, you mentioned that before.
So I want to go in the route of holistic medicine because I feel like we need to like tap into that so much, you know, like we really have to talk about that.
Yeah.
We've never been able to talk about it because like we're Asian and they're like, no, you got to take a Tylenol to make you feel better. we're not doing that anymore.
We have really good data on this. I mean, I think for the longest time, when you're talking about wellness, a lot of woo-woo BS in there too. That's kind of been woven into it, so it turns a lot of people off. But I can tell you, like any doctor worth their salt, actually, you don't even need doctors. Most people just intuitively know it. Like how you eat and sleep, how you train your mindset, you know, and how you exercise makes more of a difference than any just lone pill that people can give you or any lone medical procedure, right? So I'm worried, right? I'm worried about there's this new drug that's a once a week injection to lose weight. It works. It's been studied. It works in conjunction with lifestyle change, right? With changing how you eat and exercise. But I'm worried because I'm worried that I think I know what's going to happen. I think what's going to happen now is, well, of course, doctors are going to say, to patients who come into the clinic and are struggling with obesity, right? And they're really struggling. I mean, they're good people. They're not morally deficit, right? They don't have character deficits. They're just struggling. It's a disease. And doctors are going to go in their 15-minute visits. I'm worried that there's going to be a little lecture about behavior change. But really what's going to happen is, hey, I need a prescription for this thing. So it's another prescription.
Please. Sweet.
Yeah. Well, this has been super fun. I want to talk to you again at some point too, once you start getting more able to tell us like what you're working on. And so thanks for taking the time. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Ravi.